Alright, metalheads! Welcome to another episode of Metal Verbalizers podcast. Imagine a band with the tight groove and awesomeness of AC/DC, the intensity of Airborne, and Lemmy at the microphone. It might be Motorhead reincarnated, but it is no ripoff at all. This UK hard rock band is, to me, totally underrated. In this episode, we are going to verbalize the British hard rock band Asomvel. The band started sometime in 1993, according to their latest social media post. Their debut release became the EP Full Moon Dog. So the band has been out for a good while. This means that the band is going to be super tight together, and there is plenty of music to enjoy. Especially when playing live, it is very noticeable when you go to a show with a band that has been around for a while compared to a band that is newer. This is all about how they interact with the audience. One band that I experienced this with was Exodus. Asomvel has been around the world and toured in Europe, Japan, and South America, so they have been playing for a lot of different audiences, basically since 1993, I guess. But I don't really know when they started being active as a band out touring, since their debut was released in 2007. This is the only way to get the experience that Exodus had in the show that I went to, and in how to interact with an audience. I haven't seen Asomvel yet, but I'm sure that it is one hell of a show to attend, with high intensity and hard-hitting and grooving hard rock / metal. When listening to Asomvel, there was one band that came to my mind straight away when I heard their songs, and that was Motorhead. They have the grit in both the music and the vocals, but as I said before, I wouldn't say that they are a Motorhead ripoff. In a video on their Facebook page, their singer says that if you like Motorhead, Airborne, and AC/DC, you will like Asomvel. And I totally agree with this, because you can hear a lot of AC/DC, for example, in their music. One example of where we hear this is in their song Outside the Law. In this song, it is very clear that the backing vocals are very inspired by AC/DC. And another song is called Luck is for Losers, which has a main riff that definitely could have been written by AC/DC or Airborne. There is one thing that AC/DC, Airborne, and Motorhead have in common, and that is that the music is basically blues on jet fuel. And I would say that this is where Asomvel is as well. Especially in their later stuff, like maybe 2019, 2020, there and forth. If we're going to mention something about their image, I would say that it's all about keeping rock and old school metal alive. We got the leather jackets, we got the jeans jackets, we got the long hairs, etc. And you could say that we got all of the ingredients for some great hard rock / metal, and that is Marshall amps included. My personal dream guitar amp is a true vintage Marshall JMP, which is used by one of the guitarists in Asomvel. It is also used, as I understand it, by my hero Angus Young from AC/DC. With that said, I think it's time to have a closer look at the actual music that the band has released. The band debuted with an EP released back in 2007 called Full Moon Dog. This one starts off with a song called Feel the Chill. In this song we almost have some thrashy elements, which might be something that we don't expect from a band like this. And but then we got a song called Behind the Eight Ball. Here we get more bluesy, which pleases me a lot. And that is something that we have talked about earlier in this podcast. The thrashier stuff is more Johan's stuff to verbalize, and I have more of that old school 80s metal and classic hard rock and that sort of stuff. But then we got a song called To Hell With All the Rest. Here we go full on hard rock, but with some almost punky elements in it. My guess is that this is so early in the band's career, so that they are trying out the sound to see where they want the band to go. And this is a 5-song EP, so there is more for you to find out. Next one is their first full-length album called Kamikaze. Fast bluesy and groovy riffing on jet fuel seems to be the signature for this album, and I'm not mad about it. It starts off with the title track, then you got songs like Invertebrate and Womb to the Tomb, and this is a 10-song album, so there are loads of songs for you to listen to. Now we have a little gap over to 2013, when the next release was put out. This is an 11-song album called Knuckle Duster. This I assume is a very important album for the band, because this is, as I understand it, the final album with their founding frontman, JJ Winters. In my opinion, we can still hear some thrashy influences if we listen to the fast drumming, but maybe also in some of the guitar riffing. In this album, you will find songs like Dead Set on Living, and Thrash Talker, and of course, Knuckle Duster. Even though they lost their founding frontman tragically, they wanted to honor him and continue the band. The reason for that you can read about in their homepage, and they have also mentioned it in one of their latest posts on social media as well. This means that we did get a new album, even though it took a few years, which is totally understandable. This album is called World Shaker, and it was released in 2019. It totally hits you in the guts from the first second and kicks off with the title track. Then you are going to hear songs like True Believer, The Law is the Law, and Railroaded. Next in line we got some singles, and we start off with a song called Luck is for Losers. And this song they really bring us the heavy Lemmy blues, what I call it. It can't get much heavier than this. This was actually the first I heard from the band, and this made me want to make this episode that you are listening to right now within the first 30 seconds. Into the Fire was released in 2022 and is another hard-hitting song with thunderous bass drums and huge guitars. Also in 2022, they released a song called When the World Goes to Hell, I Wanna Be Somewhere Else. On top of their sound, this song gives me some serious arena rock vibes, with a memorable hook and generally a huge chorus. The final release so far is brand spanking new release released in this year, 2023, and it's called Outside the Law. Here we got a seriously good hard rock anthem with yet another very memorable hook that gets stuck in your head. That was all of the current releases from the band so far. So that means that it is time to sum it up with my segment called Erik's Top 5. These are some tips of where I think that you should start, but of course I think that you should listen to all of their songs like I did myself. But let's go! End of the Line from Kamikaze. Number 2, Dead Set on Living from Knuckle Duster. True Believer from World Shaker. Luck is for Losers, which was a single. And Outside the Law, which was a single. That was my top 5 from Asomvel. Now I would love to hear your top 5 from the band. Do you agree with my list, or would you put some other songs on there? I've just mentioned their current releases, but the band is actually going to give us a weekend gift. Because on Friday, 7th of July, They are going to release yet another single called Louder and Louder. From the sneak peeks that we've gotten so far, I can tell you that it is going to be an absolute banger of a song. This song could definitely have gone on the list for me at least. As of tour dates, I have no information right now, but I'm sure that they are going to do a bunch of shows through the summer. And if they play live near you, you should definitely go and see them. I personally like the direction that the band is taking sound-wise. The latest singles that they released has a fatter sound, which I like a lot. I don't know if they have switched producer or something like that. I think that if the band continues like this, they can be as big as they want. One thing that they do very well is that they are extremely active on their social media. So that we can stay updated on what the band is up to next. And I think that this is something that is important nowadays, since most people are using social media. But I think that it is time to wrap things up, so if you think this band sounds like something that you might like, don't hesitate to go and have a listen to their music. Maybe even have a look at a music video or two on YouTube. You should also follow their social media, which helps them a lot to get exposed to new people. And hey, it's free. And if you like what we are doing here on Metal Verbalizers podcast, bringing you new awesome rock and metal to listen to, don't forget to follow us on our socials as well, so that you can stay updated on what bands we are going to verbalize next. You can even be the one to decide which band that we are going to verbalize next. So, and sometimes we also talk to the bands and interview them or have them tell stories about their experiences from the road. You don't want to miss this. But with that said, thank you for listening. You've been listening to Metal Verbalizers podcast, verbalizing the band Asomvel.